You cannot rest. Not now. Please. Drettel is falling. Burning. There will be nothing left of it soon. Now you can wake up. Your friends are waiting for you. It is time to get up.
He didn't remember lying down to rest. Perhaps the gate had affected his memory in some way. It certainly seemed to have affected his imagination. Through the wall here, he saw a hauberk glimmering on the ground. He followed a hunch and checked for a door. This mail was in far better condition than the rusted, tearing mesh that he was wearing. He took a moment to reinforce himself with the new armor. His efforts were going well. The lost armor he acquired was upping his defense, and each monster he slew added to his fighting strength. His body seemed to recall the godly shape it was in 20 years earlier, during the war with Wilmer. He felt young again. Still, there remained an insecurity. He felt that he was missing an edge, a capability that would put him squarely above the maniacal druids. He needed to keep searching. There had to be something. What? It was a tome, nearly identical to the one that had granted him his piercing vision. The thickness and trim were the same, only its cover differed. They seemed of a pair. Again, a tingling buzz passed through his fingers as he took it up, and again it felt different from the magics he'd practiced before. With some apprehension, he opened the book and flicked through its pages. Nothing happened. He got the distinct sense that something was missing. He needed an object to direct this magic upon. Dear God, were his eyes deceiving him? No. By the blazing hells, it was a dragon. Though only a juvenile, it was still a horror to see. He hadn't expected this, but it was yet an opportunity. He needed to prepare. He doubled back and reorganized his equipment for the fight. What ensued was a conflict that left the environs a glistening black for yards around. He couldn't believe it. Without question, his ability had grown beyond anything he'd hoped. He was a dragon slayer. When he reached level 10, he paused, and for good reason.
The shield. You can use it with your shield.
It was the voice from his dream, or vision, or whatever it was that he'd experienced at the gate. He examined his shield. It was a heavy targe made from steel and leather. He had a suspicion about what the voice was telling him. He placed it on the ground and drew out the purple tome. As he parted the pages, he felt the book shiver, as though in anticipation. The shield began to glow, and then it changed. He stared in awe and gratitude as the battered steel of the shield flaked and feathered and was supplanted by a lustrous, burnished metal unlike anything he'd ever seen. He'd always been too poor to know it by its name, platinum. He understood the power of the book now. It was the magic of transmutation, alchemy. He could now transform the very makeup of a metal object to one of the highest quality and transform himself into a lethal machine. Would it work? Yes, this was it. Now even the most rusted pole was potentially a king's lance. giant, clad in bent, stretched plates of iron, stood here. Our man squinted and grinned, as in this giant he saw a chance to put his glimmering platinum spear to good use. His grin stretched. Nothing would touch him now. A crossbow. A recent introduction to the army, these devices were better suited to close-quarters combat than the longbows he'd been trained with. They were easy to aim and powerful at short range. What's more, he could transmute them and make them into virtual death dealers. Such power. He could feel it pulsing through his hand. It was coming together. It truly was. Our man was now armed and armored. His physical and spiritual might had grown considerably. He felt ready for anything, that is, but what he encountered next. The door was glowing with an eerie blue flame, just as in his vision. He felt a mixture of fright and comfort, as he simultaneously recognized this as a threat and an ally.
Please listen. I want to begin by apologizing for what will soon happen. I hope you will forgive me. I am a guardian, a spirit being ordered to protect an object of great value. This was not a position I ever wished for. I was compelled. I am sure that you know by who. The fact is that I want you to have the item I protect. Your cause is noble and good. My masters, however, leave me little choice. Already the treasure of Tarmin is speaking to me. It is telling me to obstruct you. I am very sorry for this, but I know you can endure. Face me now and end my imprisonment.
How to describe what our man felt at this moment? Confusion, sadness, fury. His enemies were going to greater lengths than he'd ever feared. While the entity before him seemed genuinely invested in his welfare, our man understood her plea. He loaded an arrow into his crossbow and engaged it in battle.
I knew you could do it, but now that you've stopped me, you must also stop them. The treasure of Tarmin is the real power. Take the treasure and make sure it is never used again. Please.
Beyond the enchanted door rested a book, a third book, which complemented the others he carried. While he had a sprout of curiosity about its power, it was outgrown by a hatred for the people who'd sealed it away. People who had captured spirits. People who had misled a village. Besides our man himself, there was one other who recognized this threat. One other who could explain why our man was here at all. That man was the installed magistrate of Drettel, the tool of Wilmer, the one who understood what was really at stake.